On January 21st, One Piece might come to an end. Why I hear you yelling? Because by then it's 3 months will be up, a poll will open on Patreon, everyone will get a vote, $1 and all the way up. If you love this series and want to see it continue, please consider pledging and getting a vote. It'll be open for 7 days and then I'll either do another 12 months, 72 episodes, or move on to another long anime. Please note, I'm not encouraging anyone to pledge to the minimum. You should know I do all this work 100% alone and always have done. Every single thing done by me. I don't get millions of views, I don't have massive sponsors. In fact, I've stopped them since becoming fan funded. So please consider pledging not only to vote to keep us on One Piece, but to help support the channel and my family, as 75% of my income is from fans. Thanks so much and hopefully see you on there soon.
てめえにはあの女の才能を無駄にすることしかできねえわけだ。
Even though it's obviously destroyed, the internal set design is great. Aside from the damage to the room, it's filled to the brim with books and paperwork, and it all had to be done by hand. If that's a non-exposition manner of telling us that she works her hands bloody making maps for him, then that is amazing.
てめえにこれほど効率よくあの女を使えるか。
Even though they do have Luffy address the blood, I think it's great how he twitches here when he hears the words "use her," which obviously is the last thing he'd do to her or any member of the crew.
なんだ、切り鉢がピクリとも動かねえ。
That's such a small but amazing detail to work into it.
何？
使う? And there it is! He's addressing those two prior wins! A lot of things go unspoken in this anime and I love that. So Luffy kicking the desk of all things out of the wall is his way of telling him, without saying it, that she's done making maps forever for him. Also how they added damage to the desk around the impact from his foot. Nice touch.
Luffy?
Amazing, he picked the worst possible room to engage Luffy in. He wants it all intact, Luffy literally wants to destroy it. Getting to see some of the horrible things Nami went through as a child there. Well, it's early in and it's broken me already with that. Plus the panning shot was lovely in and of itself. Between those two elements, Max wins there. Just one there for that lovely piece of music playing after her tears. If anyone knows it, please let me know in the comments. I really like that one. Oh, he snapped his friggin' nose! And that serious look from him afterwards. It's times like this I feel so anxious, knowing he was half a second away from hitting Luffy, and in that time he quickly stamps him down like this. And take one here for destroying this evil place like he said he would. And it also wouldn't be a One Piece Wins video if I didn't give massive props to the continued great looking damage effects. Truly one of the best examples of One Piece doing things differently with the shots and angles. I mean, come on! The cry from Nami there was perfection voice acting wise, and then it'd be silly to ignore all of these damage animations after win number 1050, so take 2 max wins here for both please and thank you. Oh my god, then seeing the beautiful landscape in the background as the dust is blown away and that gorgeous song plays. I'd love to know that one too if anyone can help your boy out.
Luffy.
Seeing everyone's reactions to not knowing who won the battle was bliss. They all really care for Luffy and it shows so well on their faces. Luffy making it out okay and in a grand and awesome looking style, and of course their reaction. I really like those guys. They've been an awesome addition the last 2 arcs, I must say. Yeah, definitely that. What a fantastic moment. That means a lot. Putting so many frames into her gorgeous reaction to his words as well. Because the arc was so well structured, seeing them all happy now means so much more to me than ever before. Feels like I've gone through it with them in a weird way. The return of his hat and that smile, I just derived so much joy from that moment, oddly enough.
おかげでアーロンに渡すはずだった金も、このアーロンパークに蓄えられた金品もすべて私のものだ。
I can feel my blood boiling. That's when you know you've watched a good story play out. I'm annoyed, bruh.
人が大いに喜んでるところに水差すんじゃねえよ。
Zoro continues to be amazing. He really didn't care. He just wanted him to shut up. Really happy it wasn't just Zoro, but Nami got her revenge for him shooting her. Basically, let's call her her sister, and for wrecking part of the grove. Oda really knows how to wrap up a story arc in style. I'd prefer to actually see Arlong, but you cannot deny that the aftermath has been nothing short of wholesomeness.
まさか海賊に救われることになるとはわからんもんだな。これでやっとベルメールの魂も天国へ行けるな。
This montage and their statements just really serve to drive home how terrible life was for those horrible 8 years that they suffered under their rule, and now we've seen Arlong taken out, so I'm happy.
麦わら帽子をかぶったルフィという海賊、
並びに以下4名のその一味を我が政府の敵とみなす。全世界指名手配の賞金首にしてくれ。
From a lore perspective, that's so interesting how they're making that call, but also feels noteworthy that this is the first time Luffy and his crew have been officially recognized. It's shocking that in spite of being so zoomed out, you can actually make out quite a bit of detail in this shot.
明日も明後日も倒れるまで祭りは続けるぞ。
It feels to me that another weaker story would have wrapped and then had them leave right away. I think it's amazing how we're still here getting to see things like this. Means a lot. And then the last win allows for ones like this to happen, to see this heartbroken kid from before now so happy. Luffy being Luffy with extreme prejudice.
バカもんだ。こんな大傷自分で処理しよって。
This is another big deal to me. Injuries not healing up by the next scene or episode. It's logically followed him now through 2 arcs.
なんでだよ。
だって海賊は歌うんだぞ。
だからどうして先なんだよ。
Can't risk showing the whole thing due to copyright, but Luffy says getting a doctor, good idea, but we need a musician first, and then gives no reason why they need one first, so Zoro calls him out on it. Oh, you already knew this was getting a win. Stunning looking shot that it is.
私が海賊になることを止めたと思う？止めないね。
ノジコ！
もし止めたとしても、あんたが言うこと聞くの？ B.
Her way of saying this is where Nami is most happy in life, plus she knows the kind of person Luffy and the others are. They're not bad people by any means.
お前らは間違いなくベルメールの子だよ。思い通り生きろ。お前の母親のように。
I'm so gonna remember this guy fondly. Just you watch me, guys and gals.
明日からは自分たちの手で新しく始めていかなくちゃ。昔のことを忘れるなんてできっこないし必要もないと思う。裏を支えていくのは俺たちなんだし。
This kid being one of the best anti-anime tropes of the whole thing, showing to have learned a serious lesson from all of this and taken away a lot from it.
入れ墨っちゅうのはそういうもんじゃ。
バカだよね。
The story again delving into things further than expected. Could have been, what happened to the tattoo? Oh, I got it removed. But no, we see this scene, even hearing how it considered how to do it over the years.
アーロンの仲間なんかじゃないのに海賊の楽園みたいじゃない。ナミ。
really good to see this follow up as well, the human side on display. As a child, of course, that was the last thing she'd ever want. Probably finding it horrible and scary. Must have been hard.
どうってことないじゃん。こんなの飾りだもん。ナミと一緒だね。
Finding out why she got tattoos herself as well. That's bloody brilliant. So much learning squeezed into the last couple of minutes. I'm shocked, and it's all good, interesting stuff.
我々はこれから精一杯生きようと思う。あまりにも多くの犠牲の上に立ってしまった。精一杯バカみたいに笑ってやろうと思うのだ。だがな、お前たちがナミの笑顔を奪うようなことがあったら、私がお前を殺しに行くぞ。
This guy, he seals the deal for the anime to get one more win because of him, because of his kind words to Belmare, and then what he says to Luffy shows how much he cares for Nami. Brilliant how the characters didn't just engage in tropes on screen, but instead acted as real people. Cannot express how much I like that about this anime.
二人とも、今日は何の日だか知ってる？今日はナミとノジコに初めて会った日なんだよ。
Nami leaving all of her money behind for the people of the village, but most importantly, this look into a very sweet moment in their past.
じゃあ、初めて描いたこの島の地図は夢の一歩ね。
Two wins here. Firstly, after a bit of a harsh row they had before Arlong turned up, it's nice to see more of what everyday life was actually like for all of them. But also how encouraging she was of Nami's dream as soon as she heard it, which contrasts heavily with her experiences with Arlong forcing her to make maps. Feels as though the studio really laid out her feelings here of contentment to leave finally, and also feeling the warmth of her home one more time. Rotating shot like it's not a difficult thing to do!
だから、この島に戻るのはいつになるか。
How this whole scene was handled so beautifully, and I'll tell you something I really appreciate, is it being one-sided. She was just talking to her memory, her mother, in that moment, about her big plans. That kind of feels like a get out there in the world and do so with gusto. Go do big things. That's how it felt to me anyway.
全部積み終わったか？
さてと、食料も結構もらったし、準備万端だ。
First of all, how they animated the ship being loaded when they didn't have to. And secondly, it feels real good for some reason that they're departing like this together. Fully stocked, everyone in high spirits. Just feels awesome, especially with that music playing.
いろいろとお世話になりました。あしらはまた本業の賞金稼ぎに戻りやす。
Wouldn't feel right to leave these guys behind without giving them a win for how great they were these past two arcs. They helped out in tasks, in battles, they were funny, hats off to them. Moments like these are why I keep praising unique looking characters and animating loads of people when they don't need to, such as here being a perfect example, so many people all different looking.
そっか、そうだよな。目的は果たしたんだし、海賊になる意味もねえんだから。
Multiple conversations happening in the same scene, which I always liked for realism, rather than one starting, ending, and then another starting, and so on.
金を全部置いていくだと？あの1億ベリーをか。
置き手紙と一緒に家に置いてあったわ。
Love how he and the Doctor's first instinct is about Nami needing the money, and purely being worried about her, not even thinking about the amount of money they've now got. Bless them both.
船を出して！
Not running on the spot.
勝手な別れ方は許さんぞ。
おい、こんな別れ方させていいのか？
Such a creative and unique way for her to leave her home. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. So much animation goodness.
私も俺のも。
It's further creative to the end, tying it into her childhood as a scamp up to no good, and then the fact that she's given them probably 1,000 times more, and it nicely ends her time there. Then that just sells it as a great ending to the arc for me, switching from you bad girl to come back anytime, take care and so on.
約束を忘れるな。
This man can have one final win. I've been praising him all of the arc. It's very fitting.
何のマークだ？みかんと風車だそうじゃ。
Okay, that's just way more beautiful of a moment than I ever expected. Damn man, that got to me a little.
行ってきます。
I swear Oda got better and better at ending arcs. It's like he thought of absolutely everything in this one.
もう必要あるまい。
あれゲンさん風車どうしたの？
ゲンさん顔が怖いから泣いちゃうじゃない。
そうだ。これなら笑ってくれるだろう。これからずっとこうしていれば。そうだ、ナミちゃん。
That's why he had that. To make Nami less afraid of him when he was a baby, and that's why he's now removed it from his hat. I don't even care. That's getting 2 max wins. That's beautiful. That was hands down one of the best arcs I've ever seen. Certainly the best arc in this anime to date. Blown away. Final win for it. My god, that was great.
今度あげたらもう買わないからね。
Between this and those weird snail phones, he's establishing quite an interesting lore here. This one was the best though, since it takes into account how you'd get news on the seas.
貧乏海賊なんてやだもん。
おい騒ぐな。俺は今必殺タバスコ星を開発中なのだ。
I know I keep on harping on about it, but this is what I mean when I say it's not like Black Clover, because they're just living life. He's restocking his weapons, she's trying to save money, it's their lives.
ここはナミさんのみかん畑。この俺が指一本触れさせねえ。
Such a nice touch to give Nami her own grove on the ship. That's so good and clever.
おいの警備万全です。
ありがとうサンジ君。
It's actually very cool how Nami doesn't really give him much in return other than kind and genuine thanks in return for the way he acts towards her. There's nothing off-putting either side.
しかし世の中荒れてるわ。リラでまたクーデターか。
There could scarcely be a better time to add in world lore than now. Couldn't the time the last one any better as Oda takes the time to throw at our faces a bunch of new and unique looking characters?
初頭の手配から3000万ベリーは
I love it. It's such a great moment of the story to now introduce this element, a natural element as well, given that they're pirates, but it somehow feels so clever.
絶対的正義の名のもとに
Seeing this huge looking dude in the actual true power of the Marines and what they stand for, not these little chumps we've seen bits and pieces of up till now. An unexpected treat getting to see Syrup Village again. Choosing to take the time to animate him running through the whole scene.
どうしたのメリー。
見てくださいこれを。
Also though, take one for showing us older characters and how they're still doing well. That was amazing too. Really serves to make this world feel like it's alive.
ウソップさん。その後ろ姿はウソップさんに間違いないわ。
It's funny, but the main win for me, to be honest, is knowing without them telling me how much she cares for him that she noticed that. This just put a very fond smile on my face seeing that. What she'd like to be there when she opens the window, but she's still happy because he's out there alive and well and following his dream. Also though, it'd be criminal to get a view of a house like this, that's totally new, and not give it a win.
ついにルフィさん夢に足を踏み入れたんですね。
Like, it may sound silly, but I'm loving this so much. It's genuinely making me emotional. Seeing these old faces again and an update how they're doing. Blah! Well played. Feels like the perfect time to bridge a gap I left, purely because I didn't know, but I'm told he's the guy whose jaw was badly hurt by Captain Kuro on board the Marine ship and was hypnotized into thinking he took Kuro out, which is why he had such an inflated ego. So take that win now instead. Perfect timing as I only just spoke about the guy and here he is, unexpected again, shut up and take my win! And another here, naturally, for seeing all these guys again, and especially him. Plus, if anyone knows that song, please also let me know it. That's sung to my heart all through these scenes. Also, I feel like a win is needed for the fact that none of this was done via a montage with mere stills in it, running music over the top. The entire thing was animated start to finish.
3000万ベリーだってよ。
Seeing how happy Luffy is to get this news shows how big of a deal this is to him and how much he's wanted it. No pun intended, over the years he's dreamed of being a pirate. Also though, big credit here for having Usopp point his back out on the poster too like she did. That just tickled me for some reason. It's too much. These two dancing in the background because Usopp said, maybe one day you'll get a wanted poster. Next thing you know, they're dancing like that. Nami and Zoro just beautifully rounding up this revelation for us and also setting up the coming story in a big way. I've said it once before, ages ago, and so it bears repeating here. These ships all looking totally different to one another. His looks like a shed perched atop a ship. Pretty poor looking. Even all of these nameless marines are completely different looking to one another.
Luffy,
2 wins here. Firstly, it's good to see Zoro getting back into action, having rested for a while, and he got taken care of by the doctor on the island for a few days too. Also though, this is a good callback to an earlier moment where Luffy defected the cannonball but destroyed part of the restaurant ship, which caused all those problems, so naturally they want him away. There was probably the single most badass looking unique shot in the entire thing to date. That looked stunning, getting a first person shot like that. Max wins! How they don't just make that happen, but instead show us the boat looking worse for wear. I mentioned it myself in win number 1130, and then you see the cracks on the cannon itself and it makes total sense. It never stops being awesome to see him using his abilities. That reaction, probably thinking, of all the places in the world, this guy is right here! Genuinely unexpected plot twist, suddenly bringing this guy back into the story. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. To use this moment to bring Shanks back into the story and his crew, I have no words. I am simply very impressed. Dropping a win here just purely because it's good to see him as a human rather than some emotionless machine. Shockingly, Mihawk's voice actor. Also, they take one here for seeing Luffy's hometown once again, quite a blast from a much earlier episode past. So far, the best looking world map we've seen. Doing such a good job of setting up the next arc of the story, and I cannot wait. His comments about him having the One Piece made this so much of a bigger deal than it already was. Plus seeing old and new characters coming back into the story, assuming that was Buggy anyway. Never thought I'd give a win for this, but in fairness, I never did think about it, but the ship being a ship and them doing ship type stuff to it.
Ohayo, Nami-san.
Ohayo, Sanji-kun.
I swear I live for these little kinds of interactions between the crew.
Nami-san, gohan dekita yo.
The perfect scene to show the difference between how he talks to guys and then her, or girls in general really. This cool looking map effect going from where our crew are all the way over to Buggy in the island he's on. And naturally, of course, I was right, and it is in fact Buggy, taking an unexpected win.
俺様を舐め腐るといい度胸してるじゃねえか。ごめんじゃいせやせ。
It's a very personal win, but to be honest, just seeing the little bird escape from him was well worth a win.
おい見ろよヤドカリだどこで紛れ込んだんだろうなそれともウソップの村から乗り込んでたりして
だとしたらすげえよ
Just as in win number 1148, these are the kind of conversations I adore. They're just chatting about a creature on board, wondering where it came from as she prunes and Usopp cleans a cannon.
なんだてめえは
I know it's a mixed canon / filler episode, but if this is a filler part, I really don't mind it. I get to see this guy again and hear his voice actor, who sadly is no longer with us. Feels good. Toots adorbs!
酒なんて何日ぶりだろ
さあおかわりならいくらでもあるどんどんやってくれ
Again, it's likely filler, but it's filler I don't really mind to be fair. In some ways, it serves as a nice break from the intense last few arcs. Just a bit of downtime for a short while.
なんたって海賊魂があるからよなどうだ
おめえ俺を誘ってくれるのか
It's still very sweet that someone asking him to join their crew means so much to him as when Luffy did it earlier on.
20年も一緒に暮らし続けてるとな珍獣といえども情が打つこいつらを見捨てるわけにはいかねえんだ
Him still being nice to animals is still always a win.
分かった達者でやれよ
お前もなさらば友よ元気でな
おめえもな
An oddly very sweet ending here between them as they say goodbye, a moment that made the whole thing very much worthwhile. A bunch of unexpected art style changes there. Well, needless to say, ding. I love how so many of the ships look so unique. You focus long enough, you see new hearts for ages on hers.
おやすみなさい
It's so warm and wholesome that she says goodnight to that photo before heading off to sleep.
みんないるか
If this is filler, it's the kind of filler I can appreciate, getting to see what happened when Luffy got rid of Buggy, what did his crew do, and here we can see just that. Also, as is always the case with this anime and this studio, every single pirate looking completely different to the rest. They did it again! A very cool and unique way to transition from what they're doing to an entirely different location. Even if this is filler, the animation on that battle in that distance, not going all Dragon Ball Z with repeated movements, just had to score itself a win. Oh, you best believe them doing the same thing I just gave them a win for is getting them another one. Okay, so shockingly they're getting a third win here for this, and the reason is thusly. If you're an animator doing a battle and you choose to do it fresh, each animation different to the last, you gotta be praised for it. Maybe a Rocky Punch reference? Love the animators also always taking the time to throw so much detail in these panning shots. Can you even imagine the pain in detailing all of them in the scene? Heck of a lot of detail from a distance right there. So I'm dumb and wouldn't have picked this up, but on the wiki page it states that this symbol on the hands and face is a bear claw, after which they're named, but also looks like 3 people on a pot since they're cannibals, which is pretty interesting to be fair. Suddenly going first person like it's absolutely no big deal whatsoever.
俺の鼻がでっかい赤っ鼻だぞ 何俺の墓
How on earth did he manage to stretch out his voice that far right there? Goodness me! Even though he lost to Luffy, it's still an awesome ability that he's got, where he's able to fight like this. Buggy getting his body back, but most importantly, it was the scene of where it all came back together that scores the win. Animation was real nice, floating through all the connections. They even include damage effects for the first time since the Arlong arc, although to be fair, nothing much has been destroyed since then. Basically the same win as before. You don't hand do all those people and then not get a win. Dedication!
あれがローグタウンのある島か。
ちょっとはでかい町なんだろう。
They fit the cover content in quite nicely, all things considered. It kind of gave meat to their journey time to get there too, so it didn't feel instantaneous after leaving Arlong Park, which is good.
海賊王が死んだ町。別名、始まりと終わりの町。
Giving this a really grand feel as we approach this new arc feels like a huge and important point to the overall story as well. Now that was an enjoyable OP. I felt like I was in a Tokyo nightclub 24 years ago. The visuals are great, showing old and new characters alike. All our main ones get some moments too. I really liked it. Also take another here for something I barely caught, but it's cool how everyone knows how important Luffy's hat is to him. So even though it's like 1 second long, you see all of them try to catch it.
かつてはグランドラインへ向かう海賊たちで賑わった町よ。
We're finally in Loketown, and even just from the entrance and the buildings flanking it, we see, again, totally different kinds of buildings to anything seen before.
海賊王はここで生まれてここで死んだんだ。
Wonderful example of how they did crowds really nicely prior to CGI becoming more mainstream. A scenery shot of the whole city?
どう？
I mean, what can I say aside from yes?
何から手つけていいか迷うじゃねえかこの野郎。
Really happy that her turning up in the last couple of episodes wasn't just filler. In fact, they handled the filler really nicely. It was tough to tell what was and was not a cover story. That's what I was talking about back at Arlong Park. Before Luffy beat Arlong, the rooms are filled with stuff. All of it had to be done by hand. Tons of detail.
何を慌ててやがる。俺がこの町を仕切るようになってから乗り込んできた海賊を逃がしたことがあるか
Introducing a decent twist to the story here. First of all, I like how most big towns have marine HQs, and secondly, the twist here that pirates don't just arrive and then leave.
あら落ち着きやがれ。俺のペースが乱れてしまうわ。
Also though, shout out to this voice actor, another one who hadn't done much else. Sadly, he died very shortly after voicing this role, and yeah, rest in peace.
おいおい、走ると落っことしちゃうぞ。
悪いな。俺のズボンがアイス食っちまった。
A very quick scene, but a very good one to show us what kind of a man this guy is.
大佐が仕切るようになってからはこの町に入った海賊が一人残らず監獄行き。
An awesome bit of lore to drop onto us, that this place was once filled with pirates, which naturally it would be, but he's basically cleaned it out on his own.
ではルフィは
時期に現れるさ。
なんで港に出ちまってんだ？なんでだ？お
If One Piece does something consistently to me, it shocked me by pushing people together that other stories would take episodes to drag out. Suddenly they're both meeting. And their first interaction was straight up pleasant. Unexpected.
お金を貸してくれ？
Two wins here. Firstly, how money is an actual factor in the anime and story. In fact, it always has been, but this event was enough to push it over and get it a win now. Secondly though, this very unique looking crowd of people, I can't believe they're still not repeating characters to ease on the animation workload. I can see where this might be going a little. The main focus of the last arc was on Nami. Wouldn't surprise me if this one did a bit of a focus again on Zoro.
おい、これか？
ごめんなさい。
I knew it! I love this anime so much. It's great how characters get so much development at this early stage one at a time. Man oh man, an even better view of the whole place! Animating Luffy walking through the scene.
こいつはな、キラージャイアントって呼ばれしたやつの慣れの果てだ。100人の海賊をあの世に送ってきたが、ゴールド・ロジャーがたった一撃で葬り去っちまった。これがその時の傷だ。だがこいつも大悪党で鳴らしたやつだ。だがゴールド・ロジャーの前では赤ん坊同然じゃった。
Getting to learn a lot about one of the most famous pirates in history and the things he did when alive, and actually going into quite some detail about it too. Plus it's cool to see what it means to Luffy.
人々は恐れをなし、近づく者も絶えて久しい魔の海だったのさ。
Using this time to fill us in on extra details about the Grand Line, as up till now it's been pretty thin on the ground as far as solid details are concerned.
随分楽しそうに飲むじゃねえか、ロジャー。
そりゃあそうさ。
Getting to see something of the most famous pirate ever was awesome. Plus another one for showing this old man when he was younger and that he actually knew the man himself. Great that they aged him appropriately as well.
まずいのか？
いや、まずいわけじゃねえんだが。悪いことは言わねえ。あそこだけはやめときな。
Showing this as a bit of a selfish win? Well, not really. The music is great and gets that win anyway. But if anyone knows that track, I'd love to hear of it too. It's amazing sounding.
俺は海賊王になる。
Oh, that was sick. Basically the first time someone has brought him back to his youth when he heard those words. Someone who has no fear in his heart for what's out there.
乾杯と行こうじゃねえか。永遠の海賊王に。
It's so damn sweet how quickly Luffy turns it around from someone yelling, telling him to get out, to wanting him to stay and have a drink of milk with him because he doesn't drink booze. That's lovely.
今日は特別な日じゃねえか。そうだろ?
And now I'm getting an understanding of what his ability is, and again it's totally different to everything that's come before it, just like he is really.
まるで凱旋した将軍のように歩いていったんだ。
I am absolutely loving hearing about the history of this world. Plus they're building it in such an organic and badass way.
Toby.
I mean, come on man, that music just made that scene. It's incredible. It made it like 4 times better than it would have been. That was put to screen so well. That's getting max wins actually. They do a great job here of showing him as such an imposing figure. The guy is absolutely massive.
こいつを外してくれ。可愛くてしょうがねえんだ。
The original voice actor for Jonathan Joestar and the father of Aika Otsuka, who voices characters like All for One in My Hero Academia and Thorkel in Vinland Saga and so much more. His father sadly passed away in 2015.
一つだけの大秘宝ワンピースをよ
探せ。この世のすべてをそこに置いてきた。
That right there also deserves max wins. Great voice acting on the guy who yelled, but also knowing it was this moment that changed everything for Pirates and for Luffy, plus everyone being animated. It's insane. How he was able to get the last laugh by essentially single-handedly starting a new great pirate age with those words. Just a reminder for anyone who made it to the end and forgot about the start, the big Patreon vote for either sticking with One Piece or switching to another will begin soon. Join up to help out the channel, but also get that vote. See you next time. Darth Weirdo, Matthew Blunsett, Mao Liao, The Elemental Awards, Christopher Willis, Draki, Fancy Turtle, Kepan, Minimasher, Marquez, Orkeeper, Steelers, The Epic Commander, Birds Without a Word, Brandon Creer, Brian Bayot, Cameron, Christopher Tawasa, Commander Cyrus, Doggos for Life, Dragonstorm 35, Emmanuel Gonzalez, Aaron Winters, Guru, I Am Here, Your Edvinson, Kevin Alston, Cumfroik, Carly Welp, Lisa Marie Timp, Luis Minito, Magnus, Nathan Burr, Nightly Winter, Peter Milligan, Ruby Rose, Sataka Yari, Zyonx 44, Sean, The 100s, Tiger Lily Warrior, Subito, Wicken Faye, Ali 50, Brainless Ben, Cecilia, Cedric, Cloud Garden, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Devon, Iso, Garrett Vermish, Gibbs, Isel Caldera, Jason Davies, John, Jufford6263, Calnock, Kevin Nelter, Kevink102, Knuckle Duster, Chris Madden, KY158, Carl Jones, Laxor, Laxus, Liam Gogati, Lifty, Lionel Schultz, Marvin, Malcarius, Michael Lewis, Modiverum, Mudini, Mr. Firecool, Natsu Dragneel, Nick Monaco, Nick Pell, 9028, Oliver Smiley Reacts, Q Flash, Ryan DeVirus, Sentimento, Storm970, TRS, The Danish Muggle, Tricky Nicky, Willyman.